Hi YouTube, let's get started. So this video, I want to quickly cover a little bit more about Git and sort of move on to something a little bit more, fun. Not fun, I would say. Yeah, I think it's fun, but yeah, we'll move back to Rust, okay? So in this video, I want to talk about version control using Git. Now, as mentioned before, I did say that you can use Git to view previous, well, not just save files. I mean, I said you can use Git to save files. I didn't quite elaborate on version control using Git. Okay, by version control, it means that I can see old versions of my previous saves. Now, with LibreOffice or Microsoft Word or whatever else, normally you cannot do that. Okay, you cannot do that. But with Git, you can. Okay, so I want to show you how you can actually sort of get this done. So you can see I have so-called done this little bit of thing here called git log, and that will help you sort of revisit your old versions of code. Now let me clear this up and I'll just restart from scratch. Okay, so I'm going to remove my Git folder as mentioned before, and you see my Git folder disappear. And let me just do a git init so that we can start from scratch. Okay, and if you do git status, we'll have 4 untracked files, 4 files we have not marked for saving. Let's say you want to do version 1. Okay, you want to make version 1 of your save. So you have many versions of your folder or your, what we call a Git repository. Okay, so the first version you can actually make many as you develop your code over time. You can make you will have a more and more advanced version as you go along. So you may start off with version 1 and then you make some changes and it becomes version 2, so on and so forth. Now, how do you use Git to do version control? I mean, that's actually what Git is made for. Okay, that's the main thing about Git. Okay, so what I'm going to sort of do is a very, very simplistic way of version control. There's a lot more you can do with Git using branches and stuff, but I don't want to overwhelm you with too much information, at least for this at this time. So let's start with, let's say you want to just add file1.odt, and that will become your version 1. Okay, I will mark that to be saved. So if you type git status, this is what will come out. File1.odt, file1.odt will be saved. I'll save it by using the commit command, and I'll just call this version 1. Okay, I'll just call this version 1. This is my version 1 of my save. If I do git status, okay, it will be fine. And how do I so-called check the versions that I have? Okay, the way to do it is to use git log, and if you want a summary, just type the --oneline. Again, git log, git space log space --oneline. Type that out, and you can see this is your version 1. Let me clear this up, and I'll do that again. Git log oneline. Okay, you'll see this version 1. That is the command that I just added. You'll see this thing called head. This is sort of where you are, but I mean there's a little bit more nuance to that. But for now, this is where you are, and this is the so-called branch. Now, those things you don't really need to understand too much at this point. They may come in handy later, but not now. Okay, so every version you save or every commit you save will have a sort of a version number that Git uses. In this case, it is 52C9DBB. Okay, the full code is a lot longer, so if you use git log, you can see the full number. But if you use the one-line version, you can see the number. In this case, it uses 6 digits. Okay, so this is the key I use for version 1. Now, let's say I want to add all the other files in this folder. Okay, there are a few ways to do this. I can actually use git add blank presentation, and I tap my sheet.ods and I tap and new file .odt and I tab. Okay, I can do that. So this is one of the ways you can actually sort of add multiple files. All right. Or if I want to make things a little bit more convenient, I can use git add and then I'll press dot. The dot sign means it is this folder, this whole folder with all the files inside. Okay. Of course, this doesn't do anything because I already marked all the files. I already staged. This is staging files for commit, or marking them or adding them for commits. Of course, this will do nothing. Right, if I want to unstage, I'll just follow the instructions right here. Git restore dash dash staged. So this will so-called undo the adding process. So git restore dash dash stage. Okay, I will put all the files here. New file ODT, my sheet ODS, and blank presentation ODP. If I do git status, you'll see that it will be unmarked again. Okay, if I do git add dot, it will add all the files in here. Now let's say I want to commit this as version 2. Okay, this is what will happen. And I use get status. Okay, it will be clean. Everything is added. And what's next? Git log oneline. Okay, you'll see there are two versions now. Okay, 461044C and 52C 9DBB. Okay, these are the version numbers, so to speak. These are the commit numbers, right? The numbers that you use to commit. Now, let's say you want to check out what version 1 looks like. You want to see what version 1 looks like. The command in this case is called git checkout. You literally check something out. So git checkout is a very useful command if you want to view previous versions of the code. Okay, 52C 9DBB. Okay, so type this whole thing out. You can copy paste, you can type, do whatever. Okay, you can copy paste, type, and do whatever. That's fine. So I'm typing it manually, but let's see whether the tab completion works. Yeah, 52C. I'm tabbing, nothing's happening. Okay, so at least in this case, the tabbing doesn't work. Okay, so look at what happened. Okay, only file 1 ODT remains. And then it says what? You're in a detached head state. So let's take a look at what the git status is saying. Head detached at 52C9DBB. So you're not at the head. And if you look at git log, okay, 52C9DBB, okay, you will see that we are now at version 1. Okay, we are now at version 1. So we have sort of reverted back to our reverted back to our so-called version 1 commit, and all our other files here disappear, have disappeared. So sorry. So again, let me show again. Git log oneline. Okay, so this is the version 1. Now, how do you actually so-called go back to the version 2, which is your latest version, so to speak? So again, remember your head is where you so-called are, and now you are at the detached head state, meaning to say the head is no longer at your latest commit or something like that. Yeah, where your branch is. Okay, so you are in a detached head state. You can look around, make experimental changes, and commit them. You can also discard any commits you make in this state without impacting branches by switching back to a branch. Okay, so right. So the thing is now, the question you might ask now is, how do you then switch back to your latest version, so to speak? So this is where the branch name comes in handy. Okay, when you actually make a Git repository, the default branch can be main or master. It really depends. Okay, so in this case, you saw the master just now. You saw the master just now. And if you're not sure what branch, we call this branch, okay, what branch you are on, you can use the git branch. Okay, so you can see where these are the branches you are. You have, here's your detached head, here is the master branch. So if you're not sure which branch you are at, you can use the git branch command and it will just list out all the branches. Now, what is a branch? Okay, that requires a whole new video to do. All right, a whole new video to do to explain a little bit more about branches and git. So strictly speaking, the understanding of all these branches is not so necessary at this point in time. So I'll probably skip that. If I do make a future video, then I'll talk a little bit more. But you can search online. Other videos will definitely on YouTube or wherever else. We'll definitely talk about it. Okay. So, if you want to switch back to your latest version, okay, you want to switch back to your latest version, okay, you can use git checkout again. Okay, git checkout again, and this time, just look for the main branch or the master branch. Okay, that's the default. Okay, that will bring you back to where you are. That was your latest commit. All right. Okay, so this is where your latest commit is, 461044C. Okay, so the head is pointing at master. So this master is the branch name. This head is like where you are literally looking. Okay, the head with a capital HEAD. So just now when we checked out this version, we were in a detached head state. That means this head is no longer attached to this master branch. Okay, so as you keep making more and more new versions, we call that, yeah, you're adding new commits to this so-called branch. Okay, we'll just call it a branch for now. Okay, this is just what we call it. There's a reason for that, but I'll not elaborate on it here. What I want you to focus on, at least for this video, is to understand how to view previous versions of your commits. Okay, so again, we just use the git log --oneline command. We check out what this version is, and when we are done, we check out the main branch or the master branch, depending on what you are using. So that's just some practice for you. You can go and try it out yourself. Now, next thing, I want to start moving back into Rust. So I'm going to remove the git file. Okay, and kind of just be careful when you remove your git file, right? If you were checking out this previous version, which is version 1, then you only have the file 1.odt. If you remove the git folder, then all your information will be lost. You cannot check it out again. Okay? So just be very careful when you remove this git folder, because all your previous version data, all your commit data will be stored here. You remove this git folder, you're removing all that data. So just be careful. Okay? So I'm going to remove this git because I don't consider myself in any danger of losing any of the important information. I think all the files are here. I have 4 when I started. I have 4 now, so that's fine. I can remove the git folder just for demonstration purposes. And now I want to bring you into the Rust commands. Remember, just previously we were actually using cargo, and then you'll say cargo new project, right? Cargo new project. That will actually make a new project file here. If you go in, you'll notice that cargo actually makes a git folder for you as well. So actually, cargo, when you start a new project, it will make this git folder by default, which is kind of convenient. For most Rust projects which you start using cargo, you don't even need to do this git init command. It's already done for you. Now, if you're in this folder itself and you want to make a new, you want to use cargo to initiate a Rust project, you can do so using the cargo init command. Very similar to git init, except cargo init will not just give you the, let me close this. Cargo init will not just give you the what do you call it? Yeah, cargo init will not just make a git folder for you. It will make the necessary files to start a Rust project as well. So just type cargo init. You'll see that a lot of things are made. Here's a git file. Here's the git folder. Remember, if you have a git folder, you kind of started your git as well. So git status will have a number of things here. Okay, here's your source file where you have a main.rs. Here's a git ignore file. Okay, so this is important, but for now, okay, never mind. Let me show you what it does. Okay, let me show you what it does. So let's say there are certain folders that you want to not track. You never want to track. Let's say my file.odt, you never want to track, right? So git status, right? Git status say my file.odt has not been tracked yet. But let's say I want to forever not track new file.odt. I can go to the git ignore file and I'll add an entry called new file.odt. I'll save this and I will close. Now if I use git status again, you'll see new file.odt will not appear in the list of untracked files. So you can see the untracked files previously had new file.odt. Now I added new file.odt to the git ignore folder, git ignore file, and basically those files in the git ignore file folder, these are the files you will not track at all. Okay, so sometimes it's very convenient, especially when you use the git add dot command like this. Git add dot command, that means you'll add all of these untracked files or add everything within the folder, and you can do a git commit. Okay, git commit -m version 1, for example. Okay, so you do a git log, one line, that will do the same thing. Very similar to what we were doing before. Let me clear this up. Maybe so this is what you can do. All right, so if you want to restart, just delete all of these files, and then you can delete all of these files, and then you use cargo init again. So do have some practice with that. I just deleted everything over here. So you do have some practice with it before you sort of do the real thing. Yeah, so that is cargo init for you. Okay, cargo sort of has git by default, so that's why it's important to learn it. Now, next thing I want to show you is cloud storage. Okay, cloud storage. Now there are many options for cloud storage. If you do a Google online, you will see many platforms for you. Some of the most well-known platforms, according to this list, you will see Bitbucket, GitHub, and GitLab. And then all these other things that I'm not as familiar. Now, personally, I use GitHub a lot because a lot of people use GitHub, and I just kind of follow. In my course of study, I've used a lot of GitHub. So GitHub is a good place to sort of store files on the cloud. Okay, so what can you do with GitHub? Okay, so let's say you created a new GitHub account. So you need to make a GitHub account, and I'm not going to show you that, of course. That's kind of a long-winded process. You can go and check out some videos online on how to do it. But the thing about GitHub is that, all right, let me use this file1.odt, and let me close this. Oops, I think I'll need to open up again. I'll close this. Yeah, I think the new file.odt is the correct one. Yes, right. So let me minimize this. So remember this is our sort of concept of using Git. Here's our concept of how to use Git. So Git helps you to save a local copy of your folder inside this Git file. However, if you want a cloud storage, right? Cloud storage. Okay, so let's say you already have this this file 1, file 2, and file 3, the structure on Git. We have marked all the relevant files for let me clear this up, no fill. And let's do clear the highlight as well. Okay, so let's say you have this file structure and all your previous commit history. Okay, we saw the commit history just now. These are your previous versions. Okay, using git log oneline. Okay, so all those are previous commit histories. Now you want to store this on GitHub. So what do you do? First thing first, create a new repository. So what making a new repository will do is that it will make this this is a folder with a .git folder. All right, where was I? I took a break. But anyway, when you create a new repository online, you make a folder. Okay, you make a folder. Where is it? Ah, here it is. Oh, don't open the App Store. Oh, goodness. Okay, so you have a folder. Remember, you have a folder and you have a .git folder somewhere in here, right? So that's what you're doing, but you're doing it on a cloud server. Okay, you're doing it on a cloud server. So most of the time, the workflow is that, hey, if you have this new repository with a Git folder, one of the ways we can so-called pull updates from the cloud or sync. We call it pull, but it's basically syncing the cloud repository locally. Okay, we pull the Git repository. All right, before I pull, we need to clone the Git repository. So this is basically a download from the cloud. Okay, 3. Okay, do the normal Git stuff, which is to add, commit, do whatever. And after you're done, you push it back to cloud repository. So this is one way of doing it. Okay, and there's a very common way of doing things. So let me demonstrate one time how this is done. I'm going to make a new repository called test repo. Okay, this is called test repo. I'm not going to do anything here. Okay, and now I'm just going to create it, and after that I will delete it. So create this repository. Okay. So echo test readme to readme.md. All right. So basically, what can you do? Here you are given actually 2 options. To create a new repository or push existing repository from the command line. So these are some of the steps I have sort of done with you guys before. So the first thing is a git init. So let's just follow these instructions one at a time. I'll close this. Okay, never mind. Maybe that's a complicated thing. I will show you the cloning way first before doing anything else. So let's take a look at the test repo. Okay, so what I do now is quick setup. If you've done this kind of thing before, I'm going to just clone this down. Okay. Let me bring up my terminal. Let's see whether this works. Git clone, and this is the repo. It says, warning, you've appeared to clone an empty repository. That's fine because I expect there to be nothing in there. When I look in the test report, all I see is a .git file with an empty folder. Now what can I do? This is one way of doing this. I can copy all the files here and I will go into my test repo and I'll do my git add as per usual, git commit, and I'll call this version 1. Okay, and if I type git status, it will be okay. Okay, it says I'm on branch name, but the upstream is gone. Okay, it says git branch dash unset upstream. Doesn't matter. Well, let me let me do some things first before I do that. What I normally do is to push these changes, to sort of upload these changes to the cloud, we use git push. Okay, and this is what we do. Okay, git push, it will upload all the changes to the cloud. Now let's take a look at the test repo again. If we click this, we will find all our files right here. This is pushed now, and you can see all the version 1 information is there. Okay, so this is all that we have here in our test repo, and we can just sort of delete this. Now, normally when you do a git push, you will be asked for a username and password. All right, you will be asked for a username and password. So for GitHub specifically, you need to have a personal access token, which is kind of complicated. Okay, but well, this is the Linux case. If you are on Linux, you need to look for this thing called GitHub. Okay, you look for GitHub, okay, and it will be called a CLI interface for GitHub. Okay, GitHub CLI. This is what you need to look for on Arch Linux. On Ubuntu, it will be slightly different. Okay, basically what it allows you to do is to log into your GitHub account for here, so that you don't have to enter in your username and password all the time. In fact, entering your username and password doesn't really work for GitHub anymore. You have to log into GitHub in the command line. Okay, so yeah, I will not show you how to do that in this video yet. Okay, maybe I'll do it in a VS Code, so to speak. Actually, no. Cancel that correction. I won't do that. But basically, you need to log into GitHub using your command line interface. It will be different for different types of so-called cloud Git platforms you use, but never mind. So assuming you do log in with GitHub, then this is what you do. You push all your stuff to the cloud repository. So this is what you will sort of do. Okay, now I mentioned before that I want to sort of delete this repository because this is only for testing. So just to demonstrate how things are done. If you want to delete things on GitHub, okay, you want to delete things on GitHub, what you do is you go to the settings and you go to the, I believe that is a developer option or something. Let me go to general. Oh yeah, you normally scroll down all the way to the bottom, and then you'll be in some sort of a danger zone. Okay, look at this, the danger zone. So danger zone here, delete the repository, right? So basically you delete the repository, there's no going back. So I'm deleting this whole Git repository online, which has all the files, right? Which has all the files. So to delete this, just do this. I want to delete the repository. I understand this effects. Just type, okay, type this to delete the repository, and it'll be done. Okay, so that is it. Okay, so as you see on my GitHub, there's a lot of open form stuff, but I'm not interested in that right now. Yeah, overview. Yeah, so that's basically what you can do to so-called upload the stuff on the, what do you call that? You can upload your stuff to GitHub. Now the second way is a little bit more it's in case you already have a local Git repository and then you don't want to copy the files over, right? I'll not use this, I'll use this new file.odt. So this is the cloud storage version where you have, let me minimize this. Let me do this. In case you already have a local Git repository. So what do you do in this case? Yeah. So let's say you already have this Git repository, right? So this is what happens. You have this new Git repository. I don't have test repo anymore. So I'll do a git init or cargo init, do whatever, right? And I will have all these files to be added. Okay. So yeah, what can we do? All right. So let's go and make another new repository online just to run through the exercise again. There will be instructions for you. Okay, I'm gonna make a new repository. So I'm just also gonna call this test repo. Okay, and I'm just gonna create this empty repository. Okay, so well, this is a one version of what you can do. So this is what happens if you already have a repository there. So the first, as you can see, the first three steps are basically what the git init, git add, and git commit. These are things you already learn. You already know what to do. Okay, so we'll just do that. Git status. Yeah, so I have 3 files. Okay, I have three or 4 files. In fact, I have a log file. This is an autosave file, which you can take a look at. I mean, you don't really need it, but it's there. In case you already have a local Git repository, okay, there's a special instructions to follow. Special instructions to follow. Okay, so I'm gonna save this and I'm gonna close it. So git status, I will not have the log file there anymore. So I'm going to add all of this to this repository, the local repository anyway, and then I'm going to commit. Okay, so that's what the instruction says, right? The first 3 things are all, I'll just call this version 1 instead of first commit. Okay, right? Next thing I'm going to do is git branch -m main. Okay, just copy and paste. Usually use Ctrl+Shift+V or right click for PowerShell. Control git branch -m main. What that will do is, if you type git branch, you will switch the branch names to main instead of master. Because GitHub's main branch is called main, it's not master. So that's what you need to do. Next thing to do is just copy and paste. This is called remote add origin. So remote add origin this, say git remote add origin. That means what you're doing here is to tell this git repository or tell git. Okay, again, the cloud repository data is all stored in this git file. Okay, so this is where what you're storing. So you're adding this remote, this cloud storage. We call them remote. Okay, because they are not remotely stored on this computer, they are stored on the cloud. Okay, so git remote add origin, and then this is the URL. So just copy paste that. You don't really need to think too much. Okay, next thing is to git push. Okay, so git push. Okay, the -u origin main is basically to say, hey, I want to add to I want to push changes to this cloud repository. So this cloud repository is called origin, and origin is actually pointing to this URL. So anytime you tell Git you're pushing to origin, you're actually pushing changes to this test repo.git, this URL. And not just that, you are telling them to push it to the branch called main. Okay, so we have a main locally, but we also have a main branch in the cloud. So that's what's going on. You're telling them, okay, push it to the cloud, and this is the first time only. You will set the cloud URL, which is the remote. Okay, the URL data is stored in this origin keyword, and this main is basically saying, hey, push it to the main branch in the cloud. Okay, so every time you push Git, you do the Git push now, it will automatically go to origin and main. So this thing kind of sets you up to push to origin main from now on. So that's what you do. Just Git push -u origin main. This is what you can do. And when you do that, you take a look at the test repo. Okay, you will see everything here. Okay, so that is it. So I'm going to just delete this again because this is a demonstration. Okay, I want to delete this repository. Yeah, I'm going to type this, and I'm going to delete the repository. And that's the so-called end of the demo. Okay, I'm going to remove the Git folder because we have practiced a lot with this. Okay, so that's how you so-called get, save things on the cloud using Git, and that's how also you do version control. So I will stop the video here, and I hope this was helpful in getting you more used to Git.